Please, let me go! I'm innocent! What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong!
Mr. Holmes? Locked. A map of London and the surrounding area. It could be useful.
Good gracious, you caught someone. At least now you have a suspect.
That is not the one. That is not the one I need. That is not the one I that is not the one I need. That is not. That is not the one I need. Here it is. Now I begin to understand that young man's story, but I am still unclear as to... I have heard the story of Dawson and Nelligan, the West Country bankers.
Yes, Joshua Nelligan was my father.
I am aware that it had a bad ending. When the bank failed, it ruined half the families of Cornwall, whereupon Joshua Nelligan disappeared.
My father was under extraordinary pressure. Dawson had retired. I was only 10 years of age at the time, but it was still old enough to feel the shame that befell our family. My father was convinced that he could pay off all his debts if the creditors gave him time. He set sail for Hammerfest in Norway in his small yacht just a few days before an arrest warrant was issued. He left my mother a list of the securities he was taking. No word was ever heard from him again. We believe that his vessel went down, taking with it everyone and everything on board.
Thank you for the story, Mr. Nelligan. At last, we are making some progress. Interesting. Joshua Nelligan and Peter Carey were both at sea in Norway. There is definitely some connection between Peter Carey and Joshua Nelligan.
What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong.
Locked.
At your service, Mr. Holmes. Mr. Holmes?
Is this your husband's tobacco pouch?
I'm not sure. It might be, but he hadn't smoked in a very long time.
Your husband's private papers. Do you know where they are?
There was a small tin box, barely larger than a book. He kept his papers there. It should be somewhere in his cabin.
You have indeed suffered a great loss, Mrs. Carey. Nevertheless, I believe it will be less of a burden for you soon.
Yes. Life with Peter was never easy, but he was still my husband.
He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh, my goodness, but how do you know about that?
You undertook a pilgrimage to the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela when you were young. That much is evident from the rosary in your hand. The shortest route for the pilgrim from England to Spain is from Plymouth. I believe that you met Peter Carey as a young sailor there, and you married him soon afterwards.
That is indeed what happened, Mr. Holmes. How extraordinary.
Thank you, madam. It seems that the garden was well maintained. Someone drank from this glass recently. This place is not covered with dust, like the rest of... An object was taken from here. It was... This place is not... An object was taken from here. It was locked. The tooth. (1883). That's the one I need. This is the crew list of the Sea Unicorn. Log notes for June. Log notes for June. No. This is the crew list of the Sea Unicorn. This is the crew list. Log notes for Log notes for July. Log notes for August. Canadian Pacific Railway, CPR. A torn piece from a bond certificate. I have seen... There are 3 ways of discovering what happened in August of 1883 aboard the Sea Unicorn.